And we are on. Here we are. Hello, Keith here. Today's game is Attack Vector Tactical. I'm going to be playing a lot of this on my channel. And I'm going to try to do this at least once a week. I'm going to start off small and go bigger. Ad Astra Games has a lot of... I want to also do Birds of Prey. I want to try Squadron Strike. And I also like the two expansions that they have, Romance of the Seven Realms, and the other, they have an expansion for Travelers, so I want to try their two expansions. So, but right now I'm just learning. There's an excellent tutorial for this game, and I did try it. I'm not doing it live right now because I had the chocolates, and it requires chocolates as targets. Unfortunately, I ate the chocolates. So I'm going to... But I did already do that. I do recommend that you do the tutorial in the book. Right now, I'm interested in learning how to fly these ships because they are physics-based. And it's kind of interesting because the ships fly like, if you think of, it's like asteroids in 3 dimensions, which is, it's hyper-realistic. Once I do this game, I'm going to do some Birds of Prey, too, a lot of Birds of Prey. So thank you for joining me. Now, what I'm doing right now is I just want to practice in 2 dimensions, in a 2-dimension setup. I want to practice my movement in 2 dimensions right now. So what I did is I had these little blocks from another game, and I set up a beacon here and a beacon here. And my goal, I'm just going to stay at level 0, is just to hit this beacon and hit that beacon. And if I do that, hey, I've accomplished my goal. And then once I do that, but I like the whole, like when I did air superiority, one thing I liked about that was that the name? Yeah. They start you off with the tutorial that just covers movement, and I like that. Now, the tutorial that comes with this game, that was created by, Ken Burnside, the creator, it's awesome, and it'll get you right into fighting, which is great. But first, my whole philosophy is I want to learn how to fly these things really, really well before I fight. And I just like the whole idea of flying using realistic physics. So I'm going to try to fly in 2 dimensions. Someday I'm going to have an obstacle course in 3 dimensions. And that's going to be a challenge because these aren't easy to fly. It's not a matter of point. You have to think ahead. And it's really tricky. So that's why I want to learn to fly first before I even think about trying to fight somebody. I'm just going to use the manual card, the AVID. AVID is basically a globe. It's a visualization of a globe that surrounds your ship. Right? The AVID stays in one place, right, and it shows your ship settings. So I'm not even going to worry about 3 dimensions. So we're just going to go, so the outer ring is the equator. All right, so think that this is the Earth. The polar is going to be your red dot, and then the equator is going to be your yellow dot. Now I'm not going to have, so I'm going to have my polar, so my ship is going to be facing F, and this is F right here. So I'm going to put, and you see the little symbols right here. So the nose symbol is going to be that right there. Now there is an electronic AVID, and I do want to learn that and do some videos on that. This is a fantastic game. I'm a teacher. I'm a math teacher. I would love to see teenagers get heavily into this game because the fact that they have realistic physics and there's so much math underlying it that you can really explore if you want. However, you don't really need the math. This right here is important, because this right here makes it easy. This combined with this takes a lot of the complicated mathematics out of it, and which is good. So I'm going to set up my AVID right now. It's kind of hard to see because the camera's way up there, but I'm pointing in this direction. The back, the tail, is going to go here. All right, and then the port, starboard there, and port is going to be here. Now the top of my ship is going to be the top, right? So the top gets a star, and the bottom of the ship gets an anchor, but then you circle the anchor to show that's in the bottom half. This is, just think of this as two hemispheres. A top hemisphere, all right, a top hemisphere and a lower hemisphere, all right? And so I'm just operating, I'm not gonna operate, I'm operating the equator, on the plane of the equator, because that in and of itself is pretty tricky, all right? So I'm gonna try and get, so I have my beacons right here, and I also, my ship is a Rafik, which is the ship they use in the tutorial. I put a little white beacon on the ship, so it's easy, so that's easier for in the audience to see. All right, and I don't know how this is gonna go. I know it's kind of tricky, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, so now I'm going to start off, and I want the chart. There's a chart that has the various phases in it, so I'm going to pull that out so we can go by that chart. And again, the tutorial that comes with the game, I would strongly suggest that you use that to start off, because it is excellent, all right, and it was done by the creator. So, all right, so here we go. So, place future position marker for this segment. Well, the future position marker, you have these things that say next segment, so it's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to point to where it is right now. So this is pointing at my ship because this segment, it's not going to go anywhere. Write orders for this segment. So now I want to, since we're just setting in space, I want to change thrust. All right. So I want to change thrust and reveal fire orders. I'm not doing combat right now. I'm just learning how to fly. So now we reveal the orders. So change thrust, record pivot on AVID. The delay timer is this right here. You put paperclip here, 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 and here, and here. I don't think I have a paperclip right now. I might actually, now that I think of it. So let me just take a quick look and see if I happen to have a paperclip, which I don't think I do, but I'll check. All right, I don't have a paperclip handy, so. But yeah, next time I will need a paperclip. All right. So, and again, I'm a little bit unsure because this is like, I did the tutorial, but this is something off the tutorial. I'm not doing the tutorial. So, change thrust. So, the maximum thrust, this is a sheet that represents your ships. All right. This sheet represents the ships. This stuff right here is all for combat. It's cool, but I'm not doing combat right now. So I just want to look at this, and I want to look at this. This right here, they call it caterpillar diagram. That is the only thing we're going to be using right now. That is pivoting. That's pivoting. All right, and I'm just going to be pivoting along the equator. This right here is rolling the ship. I'm not going to be rolling right now. All right. I may be rocking, but I'm not rolling. All right, so we did that. Good. So change thrust. So what I want to do is I want to change thrust. Now, if you look on the AVID right up here, that's the thrust. And the maximum, it's 5. So the Mark 1 is 5, the Mark 2 is 3. So I'm just going to make it a Mark 5. I'm going to make it a Mark 1 Rafik. And my thrust, I'm going to only apply 3. Even though I can apply up to 5 elements of thrust, I'm only going to apply 3 elements of thrust. Okay, so I did that. Now, how is that thrust applied? Okay. So it's not going to be thrust. It's going to be thrust in the plane of the equator. All right. So I'm going to go down to the left-hand side. Each segment, I mark off a box. Okay? And each segment, if it's an orange segment, it thrusts 1. Okay? And if you look over here, if you see the little, so if it's an orange segment, you add 1 thrust by putting a dot in the direction you're going. All right, so if I'm going in the F direction, I'll add 1. And if there's a little black mark, all right, right there, then that means you move your ship in that direction. But I'm not, so the heavy orange, you add 2 dots, but I'm only doing a thrust of 3. So now I may make mistakes. I probably will. That's why I say use the official tutorials. All right, and together we'll get through this. I'm looking forward. And it's not easy flying the ship. It really is. It's not easy flying these ships. All right. So I did that. There's no pivot. All right, and I don't have to worry. I'm scratching out things that are related to combat on this chart. So I just scratched out allocate zone defensive fire. I'm really hoping that this comes off. Let's see. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Yeah, it's coming off. Good. Woohoo! All right. So I'm drawing a line through items that are combat related, because I'm going to take movement first, and then I'm going to go into combat. Later on, much later on. All right. First things first. And I love doing game solitaire. I understand that there's a Discord server for this, and I think I probably will be playing some games on that, but I like solitaire. I would love to create a solitaire algorithm, so to speak, for other ships. And that would be a challenge, to have other ships and create algorithms for them and see what works. Kind of like they got the SOAR on Birds of Prey, which I also want to learn. All right, so I did that. So resolve thrust. So this is the first Turner thrust, and I just draw a dot over there. So nothing. So resolve thrust. There's no thrust. All right. There's no future position marker. Doesn't change. Nothing changes because I just started. I just turned on the engines. Thrust brake condition. We're just starting our thrust. Thrust brake. So we're not doing that, and we're not doing regeneration. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So that's the first segment. Now the second segment, the future position marker stays in the same spot. We're on segment 2 right here. All right, so I'm on segment 2. I'm on segment 2. That's where the paper clip would be. All right. So far, I'm at the starting situation. My engine's basically just started. All right. So order writing, we already got the order writing, change thrust. So I don't think, so order writing, I'm going to erase that because the thrust has been set now. All right, I set the thrust and I'm going to leave it for the first segment. So erase that. I use a Sharpie and a paper towel. The key thing is, take paper towel, dip it in rubbing alcohol, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Don't drown it. Just have it be a little bit moist and just rub. And I find that works the best. All right. So change thrust. So now I'm going to go down to the second. All right. So I was on. That's the first. That's the second segment. All right. So, and in that segment, we get one thrust. So I'm going to put 1 dot in the F, 1 dot in the F direction. Right. I don't move yet. I just put 1 dot in the F direction. And we're still on the second segment. We don't record acceleration dots. We don't cross off pulse on thrust. We don't displace future position marker. All right. We don't move ships yet. Okay, so question is, where do we record fuel use? All right. So there's 1 dot. Okay, so those dots right there are fuel use. All right. So I think at the end of this you record the fuel you used. I'm not sure, but okay. So we gone. Now we're on turn 3. All right, so we go turn 3. No recorded orders. Change thrust. I'll put a dot there, and we'll put a dot over here. All right, so it's 2 dots now, right there. And that's it for that. And I'm just going to skip ahead. So we're going to put the 4th segment is going to go there, and we'll have 3 dots over here. And the 5th segment, there's no change, but it shows a movement. So for the 5th segment, so I'm on the 5th segment. Change thrust, record pivot, record accelerator, cross off dots on pulse thrust chart, which is what I'm doing over here. Displace future, so now I replace the future position marker. So this is pointing to that hex right there, because that's where we're going in the future. Record acceleration dots. There are no acceleration dots. Now it says move ships. Move all ships to future position markers. So now this ship is going to go forward right here. All right. And that's it. So now I go to the next one, and my ship isn't moving yet, doesn't have thrust, it's just starting up. But I will put another thrust dot right there. Okay, now I go to the next segment, and not only will I put a thrust dot there, we get displacement of the ship. So that goes forward, and that'll move right there. And for the last one, the same thing occurs. I get another thrust dot over here at F. This moves forward, and the ship moves forward, and we're done. So now we're at thrust brake condition. All right. Copy fuel used from thrust chart to ship sheet. So how much fuel do we use? See these tiny dots? Those are the fuel. So I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in that thrust, I use 6 spaces of fuel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just marked off 6 dots. I kind of, when I copy this, I cut off part of the left-hand side. And I'm not sure if I'm doing these dots right, but I'm learning. And the best way to learn is just by doing. Add acceleration dots to existing vectors. So over here for acceleration dots, I have 6 acceleration dots. So I want to take a look and make sure I'm doing this phase right, because this is very important. All right, so I'm going to the phase where we take the acceleration dots and we convert them to thrust. So I have acceleration dots going in that direction, and now I'm going to put the thrust over here on the movement grid. So I'm going back. So on the thrust chart, and they did a 5. They did a thrust 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they should have had 10. Yellow cell generates 1 acceleration dot, which is 1 hex per turn of velocity change in the direction of the ship's nose. Okay. All right. So that's what we do. So it's going to be 6 acceleration dots. And that does seem a lot. So the direction is going to be F. The velocity is going to be 6. F6. All right. So now what you do is you break that down. Okay, so this is important. Yep. Okay, because I was saying 6 You know, that's really fast. All right, particularly when I'm only going at a speed of 3 and the maximum speed of ship can go as 8. So there's another chart that you have over here. That's actually on the opposite side of this. So what I'm going to do now, the turn is over. So I got 0. So this is just going to be 6. So I have to spread these 6 dots among the 8. And that will show you where the dots go. All right. So I'm going to try, at least try to make this look right. Let's see now. Good. Okay, so it is in the second. Direction F, velocity 4. Okay. So I'll put 0. So I'm putting 0, 4 there, no, 6 there, actually. And then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I did right here is I marked the 6. So now this next turn, every turn with the 1, I'm going to move 1 space. So I'm going to start off a brand new turn. I'm not thrusting this turn. I'm going to cut the engines. There's not going to be any thrust this turn. I already thrusted. I have enough. It's going to be tight enough as it is to get there. So let's look at our segment procedure again. No orders. Change thrust? No. There's no pivots. Pivots is a whole other thing. I'm not going to pivot. I did acceleration dots. Cross out pulse on thrust chart. One thing I want to do, my end of turn is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where my ship is going to be at the end of turn. It's going to be a head 6. This is an 8 segments make up an entire turn. And on the first segment, my ship isn't going to be moving. All right. So the first segment, the ship isn't moving. Now I'm not thrusting. The second segment, it's moving. The third segment, it's moving. The fourth segment, it's staying put. The fifth segment, it's moving. The sixth segment, it's moving. The seventh segment, it's moving. And then on the 8th segment, this is what its position is going to be. All right. Now the thing about this is I want to hit that point. All right. I'm already moving at a certain velocity in this direction. If I want to hit that, I've got to pivot to that direction. And as my ship is going along, let me get another model here. All right. So as my ship, it's going to be something like this. Here's a ship over here. I'm just going to put yellow on top of it so you can see it. All right, so this is, okay, so I have a ship here. All right, so what it's going to do, what it's going to look like is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But as I'm doing this, I'm going to be turning. So eventually it's going to be facing in that direction, moving in that direction. So it's going to be like that. And then what I'm going to do is apply, and we'll start turning like that. All right. So I think that's all I'm going to do for today. All right. We went over basic thrust. And next turn, I'm going to have to pivot to my right because by momentum, remember law of momentum. All right. I have momentum. And a body that goes in a straight line will continue going in a straight line unless a force acts upon it, the force being your engines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot this. The ship's going to keep going this way. And then I'll have to apply thrust maybe in that direction. All right, in that direction, because by the time I do the move, it's going to be right over here. So I don't know what hex this was on, maybe this one. I'll just leave it over there. All right, so thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Please join my Odyssey and like and subscribe to my all tech channels, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye bye.